Welcome back, everybody. It's Robin here. I'm doing another session in the tarot tutorial. So this is going to be for you session 4, and the suit we're going to cover is the suit of swords. So this can be very challenging just as a suit. The swords can be a very difficult journey, okay? And you'll see that reflected in the cards. I'll go through them one by one and explain them to you. So the swords is equal to the air element, and the air signs are Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. So the swords, they relate to somebody being very logical. It represents the intellect, sharpness, could be like a really acerbic wit in people, and the rational mind. Okay, so I'll go through these one by one. I do have my notes that I wrote here ages ago when I first started studying tarot, so I'm going to relate those to you. You guys really do need to make your own notes, your own flashcards, create your own system of learning. It's going to take a while, okay? So I just wanted to say to you guys that any questions that you have, please put them down below in the comments, and I'll do a Q&A session maybe a week or two after the training tutorial. You can put them in the comments, or you can email me at ariesfiretarot@gmail.com, and then I'll just do a video to answer everybody's questions, assuming that I get enough, just so everybody can, oh, I didn't think of it that way, or, oh, that was a really smart question. That might be a really interesting answer. So, I actually have a hair in my eye right now, and it's not very much fun. So before I get into the Ace of Swords, I'm just going to go on a pause and do something about this because I don't want to be like winking at you guys. Hold on. Still there, but let's just carry on. Okay, so I'm going to start with the ace, and we'll go right the way through to the king. So remember, aces, they resonate with something being presented to you from the universe. Okay, so something coming in for you, and when you see the symbol of the laurel wreath, you can assume right away that the card is going to be about victory. Okay, so the laurel wreath appears in a few of the cards. 3 I can think of are the 6 of Wands, the World card, and definitely the Ace of Swords, but it's probably going to pop up in other cards. Those are just the 3 that I can remember this morning, and it's early. So here's my notes. The Ace of Swords, it signifies triumph and victory over difficulties. Represents a great force of strength, the ability to overcome and triumph due to one's own actions. So this is commonly called the victory card. I also get a very strong impression of Archangel Michael when I pull this card, because he's the warrior angel. So this card can really sometimes represent that Archangel Michael is very powerful in somebody's life, in somebody's journey, helping them along their path and supporting them as they struggle. Okay, so this is a very cool card. I say that about every card because I think they're all cool. I think they're all important. So the 2 of Swords, you're going to see that this is a very angsty suit. It can be very challenging. They're very prickly, okay, and not very enjoyable. So the 2 of Swords, okay, so I'm going to show you guys this card here. The 2 of Swords, you can really take note of the body posture, what is going on with the swords. There's a blindfold over the eyes. You can see in the background that the skies are gray and the water is turbulent. So when you see turbulent water in a tarot card, it's not a good sign, okay? So the 2 of Swords, you can see it's very complex, and this is somebody that is lost. So this could be a symbol of a stalemate situation, to try a new approach to the situation and decision making, and better to decide and take part in your destiny, okay? Because sometimes people take so long to make a decision that the power to make the decision is removed from them. So the Two of Swords is an indication that that is on the horizon. It's just, you got to take some action, okay? So this is what the Two of Swords is saying. And the hands are being held up as if to block everything away. I don't want to see what's going on. So you can really interpret it that way. So Three of Swords, very, very, very painful card. You can see right away in the artwork, and almost all decks show the exact same image. The Three of Swords, you can see that there is a heart pierced all the way through by the Three Swords. Okay, so this is telling you of some sort of a heartbreak. Indicates, good grief, upheaval in a family situation. Does not necessarily mean a relationship split. Storm at the base, but it shows a gradual clearing up. So you can see that there is darkness down here and it's gradually turning to light, okay? So you want to think of the Three of Swords as this is going to be somebody close enough to you in your life to really sort of injure you that deeply, you know? But it's probably going to blow over eventually at some point. So the imagery here really says a lot. This is a very powerful card. And it's painful, okay? So, and this could happen as a result of not making a decision or confronting something or just remaining blind to a situation, you know, with the Two of Swords, you know, how you can get hunches about people or that intuition. You decide not to say anything and it just gets worse. And then what? Okay. So this particular Four of Swords that I'm going to show you, it looks a little bit like this guy's on a slab and chilling, you know, with a toe tag, but the message is quite compelling in here too. You can see that the Four Swords, they are laid down. Okay. They are at rest, and so is the character in the card. He is not preparing for burial. He is taking a break. He has laid down his weapons, and in the case of the swords, the weapon is the acerbic wit. It is that rationality. It is the intellect, and putting that to the side and doing something to calm your brain down. I would say that looks like he's either praying or meditating or just, I don't know, maybe having a nap in a weird position. So this indicates somebody that needs to recharge, take a break, do not quit, and time to regroup and replenish. Okay, so this is a really good card of saying you'll never win if you give up. So learn how to take breaks and rest and relax, and that self-care is a very important part of a day-to-day, you know, part of your daily life, part of your daily rituals. And I think that so many people, I remember when I was younger and I had my boys and I was a single mom for a long time, like it was endless, you know, it was just get up in the morning and then just go right until I fell into bed. So there was very little time to practice self-care. And other people, like everyone has exhaustive times in their life. So this card comes in when it is time to really allow yourself to take care of yourself, okay? So the Five of Swords, and really, again, look at the imagery here. The fives, remember you guys, it shows a very uncomfortable part in life. This one, some of them show, I have a couple decks where there's like wounded laying around in the background and it looks like a scene from Vikings. But you can see that this soldier here, he is hoisting his sword over his shoulder, and you can see back in the background there's people, they're very disappointed, sad, if not hurt. Okay, this can indicate a deception. Someone is being dishonest, and can also represent something that has been lost in an unfair manner. Okay, so this is a really good indication that, and it could even be you, you know, it doesn't have to be somebody else, is that like taking advantage of a situation or outwitting somebody. and getting something sort of through a nefarious way, not being very honest, you know, ripping somebody off, like taking advantage of being smarter than somebody else, because this is air and it relates to the intellect. So this could be somebody coming in to take advantage of you, or the other way around. Okay, so this is a very complex card. It is uncomfortable to pull in readings, and if you're going to start reading for other people, you guys, and you see stuff like that, it's not your job to edit, okay? And I'm going to do a video as well on how to do a reading, but just while I'm thinking about that, it's not your job to edit what you're getting from the cards. Otherwise, you're holding back the truth from your client, okay? Or from your friend or your family member or whatever, whoever it is that you're reading for. So I have a blurt policy because I'm getting messages and I'm going to convey them, even if it is like not a very nice message sometimes. Like some of my readings have been like scorching. But anyway, moving on. So the Six of Swords here, you guys, exactly. Moving on. This is moving on. You can see here that there's somebody in a canoe paddling for all get out. And then you can see the grass is greener on the other side. So that is exactly what this card is all about, is moving out of stormy waters. Matters are about to improve. Harmony will be restored and could possibly represent a journey. Okay, so you can see here, not cool. You know, the Five of Swords, very brutal energy. You can see here the Three of Swords, again, very brutal energy. Two of Swords, just like kind of lost and I don't know what to do. And the Four of Swords, not taking care of yourself or others enough. So, man, the swords, they kind of like suck overall. Like, this is not an insult against air signs, but man, it's very challenging. You'll probably see this suit when people are not having the best time in their lives, or they're going through the dark night of the soul. The Seven of Swords imagery is really, really different. I find in this card particularly, I have the Witch's Tarot, which has the creepiest Seven Swords I've ever seen. You know, just in the sense that somebody just doesn't look like they're up to any good. So Lacey's doing something weird in the background. Okay, so the Seven of Swords could mean bad luck, okay? Or things not working out as planned. Could indicate a theft. An element. Oh, geez. I'm going to read the next thing and try to. So represents the use of diplomacy. Represents the use of diplomacy, and I finally figured out my writing. An element of unfairness. So you can see that somebody is sort of sneaking away with Five Swords and they're leaving Two Swords in the background. This can be a very challenging card to interpret. So this is a very fine example of when to use a clarifying card or when to rely on the cards around you that are in the rest of the spread that you're using. You know, it's all in all not the greatest card. Somebody could be taking advantage of you, or the other way around. Let's face it, we're not all perfect, and it happens, and sometimes it happens by mistake. And a theft, like somebody like really just taking off with most of your stuff. So it could be a significator of being ripped off, you know? So again, a very uncomfortable card. The Swords journey is not for the faint of heart. Speaking of which, we'll move on to the Eight of Swords. Again, another really compelling imagery. Take a look at what is going on here. Again, we have the blindfold over the eyes that we saw in the Two of Swords. We have the Eight Swords like firmly stuck into the ground around the character, and she is tied up. Not fun. Okay, so Eight of Swords, confidence could be low due to fearful thinking. It is a time to remain calm, and the answer is available by clearing the thoughts. Okay, so the really significant thing about the artwork related to the swords is that this person is putting themselves into a prison of their own thoughts and then staying there by being blindfolded. Okay, she's not too tightly bound. I mean, if she gave it a little bit of a good wiggle, she'd be able to get out of there, right? And take off the blindfold and then turn sideways and kind of scooch through those 8 swords. So this is like allowing repetitive thoughts to become very, very overwhelming. And you guys can do the reversals if you want to. I don't do reversals. I'm just coming across a lot of tarot card readers lately that they're like, I don't do reversals. And I'm like, same. And you shouldn't feel bad about it. But if you want to study reversals, it's probably not something I'm going to cover. You guys, it's very easy. All companion books give the positive meaning in great detail. And then it'll generally have a blurb of the reversed meaning. So going from bad to worse with the 8 of Swords, we have the infamous 9 of Swords, okay? You can see where this, if not resolved, the 8 of Swords, that like being put into a thought prison, being held captive by an overactive brain, moves on into sleepless nights with the 9 of Swords, okay? So this is kind of a warning sign when somebody is at the 8 of Swords level, okay? This is when the lights start flashing, you know, warning, warning. And then there's the 9 of Swords, okay? So almost always there's a character splayed out in the bed. Some are more dramatic than others. Terrified, 9 swords over top, okay? And these are 9 swords of thought, of doom thought, of over intellectualizing something. I don't even know if I said that word right, but so feelings of suffering, a sense of anxiety, negative emotions can be self-perpetuating. If matters from previous situations were not resolved, the feelings can intensify. Okay, so honestly, the swords are basically a nightmare. Okay, so we move on from the 9 of Swords and we go to the 10 of Swords, which unbelievably looks even more uncomfortable. But remember that the 10s are the end of a cycle. It's like the World card in the major arcana is the completion of a cycle. So are the 10s. They're like a mini, you want to think of them as a mini World card. So the meaning for the 10 of Swords, and this looks very complicated. You can see the swords have actually pierced the character here. They don't in all decks. The sky is super stormy. This is all like super blah and some decrepit old tree in the background. So this can represent feelings of loss when a difficult situation ends. Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. You know, because sometimes we miss things that weren't bad, that were not good for us. So that is what this is saying. You know, I finally made that decision. I finally left my job. I broke up with that person. You know, it still can be painful. Okay, so that's what that is saying. And this can warn about ruined plans leading to feelings of disappointment. It's a very complex card, okay? So again, I would recommend using a clarifying card, especially when you're just being surrounded by the swords. They're like zero fun. Well, there's a couple really like take a break cards, like the 4 of Swords and then the 6 of Swords, but everything else is really, really challenging. So we have the Page of Swords here, and remember that pages are all about messages, okay? So the Page of Swords, and I'm just reading from my notes here, you guys. This is a cool, deep, and quick-witted person. So in most companion books, the court cards, page, knight, queen, king, they're going to talk about the characteristics of the person in the card, okay? This is why I talked about assigning somebody that you relate to so that you can learn them better. It really helped me. This is a message to make a logical decision. I'm going to pick this up. Hold on for a second. This is somebody that could be very inquisitive. This is somebody that could appear insensitive to others, somebody that is gossipy, deceitful, intentionally stirring the pot. The Page of Swords relates to delayed or disappointing news related, and it could also be related to a child's behavior. There's a lot going on with this card. So this is another card I would really suggest pulling a clarifier over top of. You want to take note of the position of the sword. Is this somebody ready to do battle with you? I have a couple decks where the Page of Swords, the tip of the sword is facing the floor. So that would indicate somebody that would be a little bit more easy to negotiate with. This Page of Swords, it doesn't like they're up to any good, simply because the gray skies, the sword is back and they're ready to use it. So again, another example of just very complicated, very intense, uncomfortable energy. So let's have a look at the Knight of Swords. Okay, this guy's pretty much ready to rock, okay? So he took whatever happened here with the Page of Swords, whatever message that he got, and he is now not impressed, and he's moving forward. Okay, so the Knight of Swords, this is a fearless action. This is quick-minded and serious, being impatient, also being magnetic, and can appear insensitive. Okay, so that's a really big downfall of people that can be air signs or have air signs somewhere in their chart, because they're so, their brains are like so calculating that they can appear calculating, but it's just the way that their brain works. Okay, so sometimes it comes out like that. Okay, so again, the Knight of Swords, swiftly moving, chaotic energy, as you can tell here, brings about circumstances, better circumstances, and offers strength. So whatever else is going on here has ignited the Knight to move forward. He's got this basically a take no prisoners mentality. He is just going to cut things right open to the truth. And yeah, you don't mess with the swords, okay? So let's move on to the Queen of Swords. And she's actually one of my favorite characters in the deck. Hold on for a second. Here she is. She's like divine feminine, okay? If you guys have watched my channel for a while, you guys know I fangirl over Lagatha Lothbrok. Because she's just amazing, okay? So I really just resonate with her energy. And I feel like the Queen of Swords is her energy. So if you've seen Vikings and you're just taking your notes about who represents who, you might want to consider using Lagatha to represent the Queen of Swords. And she's everything, you know. She's battle ready. She's smart, but she's also very caring and likes to take care of her family. She's got that sword right out in front of her, and she's not afraid to use it, okay? This represents inner strength. This is the divine feminine, possibly gained through personal suffering. So this person came to where they were in their life because of a series of events. And you can see that the swords, awkward, uncomfortable. I mean, you have to grow or fall victim to the swords, right? So this is somebody that can also be happy and independent and content in her own right. She speaks her mind. She is very efficient and fast thinking. She's the people's champion, but can also be extremely critical because air signs, the air element, they're just gonna speak their mind, and some people can't take that. They're like, wow, that was really painful and hurtful, like, why did you talk to me like that? But overall, the Queen of Swords, like, she's just a powerhouse, and I just absolutely respect her so much. So I'm just digging for my notes on the King of Swords. He's holding a very similar posture to the Queen. So remember that the kings are a symbol of power. They have circumvented and circumnavigated everything else going on in their suit Now they're at the top of their game. I know I'm almost done the video, but I really need a sip of water here. You guys have been talking a lot. Hold on. So again, this is somebody, this card here, the King of Swords. You want to look at the attributes of the King of Swords and find somebody in your life, fictional or not, and assign that person to this character. So a definite air of authority, okay? And these guys, I love the way they're back to back and they're sort of protecting each other, sort of like in Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Amazing movie, anyone? So strong and loyal partner. Sorry about my voice right now. Can also, like, you could find the King of Swords energy in, like, you want to think uniformed jobs, like a policeman or a firefighter, somebody that might be seen as, and just offside, I saw angel number 2525, but I was saying somebody that could play kind of a hero role. This is somebody that is very articulate. They have a sharp mind. They could be really into math and science, a really good and loyal friend, and does not trust easily. They've seen a lot here on the journey. You know, you want to think about the Three of Swords, taking a really big hit to the heart. The Seven of Swords. I made a mess of my cards here, you guys. But the Seven of Swords, like being potentially ripped off, like going through the Five of Swords where you're just having to fight for everything. This person could seem like really distant and cold, but it's the way that they protect themselves after going through all the swords energy, which is heavy and hard, and be the dark side of the King of Swords is that they could seem a little bit cruel or to be a bit of a bully, just because of everything that they've been through, and just because they do not varnish the facts with anything. Like, they're not flowery poets, you know what I mean? They're not going to dress things up to look like what they don't look like. They're going to speak the facts, and some people can't take it, okay? So that's what I've got for the swords. Let me know down below in the comments, you guys, if you have any questions. Definitely let me know how, you know, you're enjoying the tarot tutorial so far. I was a little bit nervous about doing this, but then I'm nervous about doing everything until I start. So anyway, guys, I'm going to go have myself a coffee now. So have a good day. Love you guys all so much. So take care. Bye.